Did. Unmuted.
Shabir, are you there? Shabir, we can't hear you. Hello. Shabir, we can't hear you. Just a second. Yeah. Shabir, can you start from the beginning? So from opening from application.
Okay, fine. I will.
Yeah. Shabir, we have all BO team. You can carry on. Thank you.
Okay, fine. So I will just open the Design Studio tool. Just a minute. Okay. So before going through the contents, whatever all the things are there, obviously whenever you use any Design Studio tool, the first thing or the first question that comes to our mind, it's not about specific to this tool. That's something which might come to your mind. Whatever tool you are using is about the data connectivity, like what are all the devices or backend systems to which you can connect, what are the limitations, how do I connect, and all these things. So because how good your tool is there, if it is not able to connect your backend system, then it does not adds a value to you. It's not useful to you. Okay. So first of all, let me show you what are the backend systems to which you can connect. Okay. So technically, if I speak, we don't have any limitation. To be fair, we don't have any limitation. It's just that depending upon your backend system, the methodology or the technique by which you will connect to the backend system, that might change. But we don't have any kind of limitations. So how do we connect is if you go to tools and preferences. Okay. So here if you go to application design, backend connections, so it will list you all the connections. Okay. So depending upon what type of connection you choose, it will be listed here generally. BW connection, HANA connection, and once you log into your BI platform, it will also list one more thing here, that will be your universes. Okay. So technically it divides the backend connection types into three types or three categories. First one is your BW system, that can be InfoCube, Bex queries, all these things. Second one is HANA, your HANA views, and third one is your universe. Okay. So obviously the question which will come to your mind is like, okay, if that is the thing, then what do I need to do, or what will be the scenario if I don't have these three as my backend system? So if I have another, apart from these three, if I have something to, which is having my data storage, so what will I do in that scenarios? Okay, so if I have, let's say, Oracle server, SQL server, or let's say a simple MS Access, so how do I connect it? Will I be able to connect it or not? So the answer is you can connect whatever backend system you are there. It's not necessary that it needs to be SAP backend system, because BW system, HANA system, Universe, they all are SAP system. So it's not that only you can connect to SAP system, you can connect to anything. So the question will be like, okay, if I don't have SAP backend system, how do I connect it? So the answer is like, if you don't have that thing, then you need to create a universe. Okay, if I have an Oracle server, SQL server, MS Access, Excel file, anything, some OLAP connections or all these things, that sort of thing are there. So I need to create a universe. So in short, if I want to give you the gist of that connection is like, if you have a SAP backend system, you can connect directly if you don't have a SAP system, you need to connect it via universe. Okay. So the only step which is added is universe. So universe is a semantic layer which will be added if you are connecting a SAP or this SAP Design Studio and a non-SAP backend system. So that will be the only difference. Now coming to the data connectivity, that is first thing is what we discussed right now. What are the backend systems to which we can connect? Okay. Now to get to build a report, we need some data. Connecting to a system is what type of system is first thing. Now we need to see or we need to use a backend system to use that connection, that table, that view, that universe, whatever is there. Okay. We need to use that one to create a report. Okay, so we need to add the data source here. Okay, what you will see, Arjun. So data addition actually involves 3 steps. Okay, if I say in a very layman term, actually overall 3 steps you need to do, and after that you will be able to use your backend data into your reporting servers. Okay. First one is you connect to a system. Okay, if you see, so you have plenty of connections. Okay, different connections, HANA connections, so that you need to create. But generally that are already created, you need not to worry about that one. Okay. So this is the first step where you connect to your system. Okay, different connections will be there. Okay. Then in the second step what you do is you connect to a specific table or something like HANA views, Bex Info Cube universe. So this is your second step. So when I am connecting, let's say I want to connect to a HANA source. So it needs a password.
Shabir, is these connections will do by administration team or we have to do?
No, generally they will do it. You don't need to worry too much about it.
Okay.
It will be maintained. Okay. So if that connection is active, it will say connection is active. Okay. So in the second step, what you do is you select the specific view, whatever you are developed. So let's say I want to view a specific package. Okay, so I created one view, analytical view, and I want to use that one. Okay, so this is my second step. Okay,
so Shabir,
so what
we can use directly the HANA views in DS, right?
Yeah,
we don't
yeah,
need IDS or WebI.
No, nothing is required. You can directly consume. You can directly the Bex Info Cubes, Bex BW system that you can directly consume, HANA views that you can directly consume, and universe you can directly consume. You don't need to anything. Okay. So this is your second step. First step was to connect to a system. Okay, so which you don't need to worry. That will be generally taken care by once you log into BI platform. It will automatically be connected to all the systems available. In second step, what we did right now was to choose a specific table. Okay, I will be repeatedly saying the term table, but that internally means that can be an info cube, a HANA view, universe. So just take it in a broad term. I just will maybe specify, until I specify, consider it as any of the 3, 4, whatever type. So I will, in a general, will say a table. So in the second step, what we do is we choose the table. Okay. So now your question will be like, okay, I have now got the table, I can use it. Okay, so I might be able to use for my reporting purpose. Okay, since I have got the table or view for my, but the thing is, it's not completely done. You need to make one more step. What is that? That step is called edit initial view. So what actually that step is? In this step, what do we do? Okay, so actually in this step what we do is, whenever in real time you will build the report, or whenever you will try to use the backend system, so you will be using some table, views or anything which will not specific or maybe whole soul created for your reporting purpose, that might be used to cater different requirements. Okay, so like in one of my example, in one of my project, the table which I used was a logistic reports or logistic table, BEX report or BEX table, which have close to 25 or 30 columns. Like columns I mean dimension and measures. Okay, so obviously in your reporting purpose you don't need all that 25 or 30 columns. You might require hardly 5 or 10 of them. So unnecessarily you don't want all the columns to be loaded in your application. Then you use that one which will increase the load time, reduce your performance and make your application heavy. So this is the actually stage, edit initial view, where you select only those columns in which you are interested for your reporting purpose. So what will be the advantage of that one is, this is not the step which you will definitely need, but this is something which makes your application, or you will only fetch that columns which is required in your reporting purpose. There is no need of bringing all the columns. Okay, so you can say I want region name maybe, okay, and product name. Okay. That's it. I say okay. So I selected a specific fields which are required for my reporting purpose. Okay, so 3 steps. First one was connecting to a system. Second was choosing a specific table, and third step, within that table, picking the specific columns, fields or dimensions and measures required for your analysis purpose. Okay, so now this view is available for you to do whatever you want. This step you can do n number of time. N number of time and type of data source, there is no restriction that you can do only that one. I can connect to a universe also. Okay. There is some might be true, but this point was like you can connect to any data. It's not that you can connect only one data source or one type of data source. It's not, you can have any type of, you can have InfoCube, HANA, Universe, everything all in one. There is no restriction. As far as the number of data source is concerned, even I don't think there is any restriction, but generally you will not require more than 50 to 20. Till 25 or 27 data sources I have used, there is no issue. But obviously, as soon as you increase the number of data sources, it impacts your performance. So there you have plenty of actually, I will say, optimization techniques you need to follow to make sure you use less data source. Okay. You can copy the data source also. If you, okay, they are almost same, I don't want much change. So you will say that, okay, if what's the point in copying the data source if they are same? So the point will be like, I want the same data source but with little modification. In one of my report, I might require region and product, but in one of my report, I don't need product. I might only need region. Okay, so I will, in that case, I will create a copy rather than going all the steps, bringing the data source, everything. I can just copy that one. Okay, so that is all about your data source. Then I will just try to cover a few of the important components. Okay, so so you have this chart. Generally, they have replaced this content with info chart. You will see till 1.6 SP2, I guess. This chart and info chart both are present. But I think from SP4 or SP5 onwards, you will not see the chart. a better and a, I will say, optimized and fine form of chart is info chart. Okay, so it's not that you don't feel that okay, I did not cover chart. Both are same. It is just advanced form of chart. Advanced not in form of functionality, but in the form of flexibility and the efficiency. Okay. So whenever you will add any component, most of them will require the first thing, which is what you are viewing right now. Attach a data source to component. Okay. So there is, you attach the data source. You attach to any of the data source. Let's say I want to attach to data source 2. Then it will show you different type of values, whatever are there. It will plot. Next important thing is this data selection. What does this data selection do? So data selection is actually something which is used to give you, if you want to select any specific column or row. Okay, let's say I have 5 columns here: sales amount, revenue, head count, and different number of columns. So I can choose a specific column. Okay, that okay, I only want to view sales amount. So maybe let's say if I use DS1 here, then I will be in a better position. Okay, so here you see it is displaying different data sources. Or let me try to browse any other data source. Let me copy it from another. Okay, that view is not working. Okay, anyway, that is not something which will struggle. So what actually the point was, like, whatever you want to do some specific selections, that you can do in data selection. Let's say I want only for Americas and Asia, I don't want Europe, that you can do it. Okay, or if you want that, let's say 4 measures are there: sales amount, revenue, head count, and maybe some sales revenue and all this thing. So you can choose a specific column that I only want to view sales amount in this graph or in this chart. So you can be that specific. So only it will show that thing. So for that purpose, data selection means that. Okay. Then not much here important. Okay.
But Sabir,
Then another,
even we can select whatever the key figures, the initial stage on it. I mean to say, while having the measures, whatever.
editorial view.
Yeah, in the edit view itself, we can select it. Then what is the
you can use.
Yeah.
The specific purpose is if you want to reuse the data source. That is the. But let's say if you have a graph. Or you create a data source in which you have 2 key figures. One is sales revenue, another one is your maybe head count. Okay.
Okay.
So generally these 2 are not something related to each other. So you don't want to plot it on a same graph, because revenues can be in billions and head count can be in just 1,000, 10,000. So these 2 things you don't want to plot on a same graph. You want to represent in 2 graphs. So one solution or a straightforward solution which anybody will feel is, I will create 2 data source in which one will have revenue another data source which will be a duplicate of the data source, in which I will use the key figure revenue, the head count. Okay, so you will use two data sources. So one you will map to, let's say, DS1, you will map to chart 1, DS2 you will map to chart 2, and your functionality is achieved. But what you have done not in optimized manner is you have created two data sources. Generally, data source creation is one of the very effort-wise task which Design Studio application needs to do. So if whenever possible, we should try to avoid them. But it should not be that we are making our application very complex. But if any simple functionality there by which we can avoid the data source duplication or as less as possible, that we should do. So first approach I told you, like we will create two data sources, in which one will have key figure revenue, another will have key figure headcount. I will map the data source to different map and achieve the functionality. Okay, fine. But I saw that I have two data sources created. Another approach what I will take is I will create a single data source with two key figures. I will map to the data source one to both of the chart. In data selection, what I will do is I will say select only sales. In the second graph, what I will do is I will go select only headcount. So now just with a simple data selection is just a logical thing. It's not something which requires something to be fetched from backend system and then calculate everything. So compared to a new data source itself, this is a very lightweight. You can say the trade-off if you give, this is not something very heavy which will make your application heavy. So by just applying a simple data selection, I avoided a duplicate data source. So in that scenarios, that comes handy. Generally in edit initial, we choose those columns which are required for our whole reporting purpose. Generally, you can create multiple, but from that context, you try to view the application that I try to create a data source where, or I will try to create a data source which will cater maximum number of components. It should not be that it will, and it can never be happen that you can create, you can cater a report by single data source. That is impractical. But you should try to use the data source for as much as possible, or it should cater the maximum number of components as much as possible. So in that scenario, it will come. So it should not be that, okay, you created a single data source and bring whatever all the measures or dimensions are required. You generally, that is something which will come when you will try more and more report that. Initially, even when I started, I used to have many data sources, but then once you will go, once your whole application is developed, or I will say initially you don't worry too much about number of data sources. There will be plenty of useless or repeated data sources. That's not to worry. As soon as you will do the practice, and then you will get to know how to optimize, and you will get to know, okay, this I can remove it. So that is something you should not worry, but that is where you will come, this will come handy. This loading data script, data selection, all these things. Okay. So that is mostly about chart. Then the next component, cross tab. Okay. So generally this is the second component when you want to display a data in a very tabular form.
And one more thing also, when you click on edit data source also, there we can see one OK plus cross tab, right?
Yeah, that is when you want to directly create a cross tab for that data source. So whatever you are viewing it, but that generally is not the case. You generally want to use it as per your need. So that's, but you can use it, that's also there. Okay. So from there, okay.
This cross tab was different, right?
Sorry?
This cross tab what you have selected is the other purpose, right?
Yeah, it's just I'm trying to cover all the components, what it does.
Okay.
It does not have any relation with graph, just like that. Okay. So in cross tab, generally in chart, you show a very aggregated data. Charts are not supposed to show a very detailed information. If you have a, let's say, product name, and in a product name you have 20 products, then it's not good to display that information on chart. It will be a little bit congested and hard for user to extract the information or do anything in this. So if that sort of information comes, you put in the cross tab. So generally these two are the most important component you will use in your reporting purpose. Okay. Then we have this dimension filter. Probably the name itself is kind of self-explanatory. If you want to filter any of your data source for a specific dimension, okay, so you say I want to filter for dimension anything data source 2. Okay. Then what is target data source? I'll tell you later. So you choose what is the specific the region you want to select. Any specific dimension you want to filter. Okay, let's say I want to filter by region. Okay, I have mapped to data source 2. Okay, let me try to execute it and see how it works. Okay. Let me try to filter it. Okay, let's say I want to view only Americas and Asia. Okay. So now you will see only graph is changing. The table is not changing.
Correct.
The reason is because I attached my dimension filter to data source 2. Okay, and chart is taking the data from data source 2. But this cross tab is taking the data from data source 1. So what if I want to use the same dimension filter to filter the data for cross tab also? So in that case I will give that names in this target data source. So whatever data source you will bind, that data source by default it will filter. You don't need to do any explicit. But other than that, if you want to filter any other data source, then you need to specify. So let's say I want to filter DS1 also. So I will say that filter this data source also. That can be multiple, 1, 2, 3. There is no limit. Okay, so now let's try to filter again and see whether only chart is affected or both of them. So if I click here, apply. So now you see my graph as well as cross tab, both are changing because I have given the target data. Okay, so this is about dimension filter. Then you have filter line. This is similar to dimension filter, but it is more powerful in the sense that it does not have the dimension. You don't need to specify which dimension you want to filter. So you can use this filter line for any of the thing to filter at runtime. Okay. So if I want to filter for region name, let's say I want Asia's, Americas, I can filter. I want to filter for, let's say, product name. So at runtime I can choose whichever dimension I want to choose. So that is a little bit advantage of filter line. So similarly you have filter panel, you can use that one again for the same purpose, but that is actually not very useful. You don't use that one. Then navigation panel is also not spreadsheet. Also not very much. Navigation panel is not something very useful. Spreadsheet is if you want to view the data in a spreadsheet. This is recently introduced in this tool in 1.6 SP2, I guess. So if you want to view the data in just a very simple spreadsheet format, you can use that one. Just it's not something I will say unique or something very powerful. It's just one way to represent the data to make your look and feel more comfortable with user. So if he wants to have a look in the form of Excel, you can give him this Excel sheet. So that is only purpose of that Excel, not very much useful. Okay, so these are generally your analytic component, important one. Then if I go to basic components, we delete these things. Now we have this button. Okay. So what is the purpose of this button? So now from here onward we will see a little bit of a scripting thing. What does scripting thing do? So generally the scripting thing is where you want some action to be performed when user do some selection or click or select something or click on anything or apply anything. So for that source we use the scripting thing. Every component, almost every, maybe with few exception, will have something called as select. Okay, events. Every component have this event thing. Okay, the text might be changed a little bit. Somewhere it might be click, somewhere it might be on select. Like here, if you see on select is there, but name might be different. But overall, it means this is the place where you write the script. So whatever you write in here, okay, so whatever you write in here, okay, that is something which will be executed once you do any selection. Okay, or if I say something like here button, okay, so whenever I will click anything, okay, so this script will be executed. So whatever I will write, it will be done. Simple example, let's say if I see, if I click here, I want this cross tab to be hidden. Okay, so how do I write the code? So I will say, what is the component I want to manipulate? I want to manipulate the cross tab. So you need to press Control plus space, which will list you all the objects. So I want to manipulate the cross tab. Cross tab 1 dot. So it will give you all the functions available for the cross tab. So these functions are only for cross tab. It's not for every component, but most of the component will have common functions. Generally, maybe the name might change a little, but generally this get selected member, get width, get top. These are, some will be common, but some will be unique. Okay, so I want to set the visibility. Okay. So see, I have a function set visible. So I will say here false. Okay. So this script will be executed as soon as I click on this. Okay. Now you will see this cross tab is visible. So if my script executes correctly, then once I click on this button, this will be hidden. Now you see, that is hidden. So that I need to take care. Okay. This is one of the usage of button. Like that one, you will have many usages of button. When you want to save something, when you want to open a new URL, you want to print your application, export your application, different type of functions are available when you want your user to initiate something. Okay. Then you have
Is
chart
this
type.
similar to JavaScript?
Yeah, this is the JavaScript only. I will say not whole JavaScript, it is a kind of a subset of JavaScript with limited functionality. You just need to invoke function, then apply some logics. That's it. Like you see this checkbox, that is also something which you would have seen in real time. I will not say it used programmatically, but you would have seen that in your lifetime when you visit any website, do online shopping, let's say you want to you have something want out of stock. So if you check that checkbox, then whatever items which are not available in stock, they will be excluded. Okay, so let's take the simple example again here. I want to make the visibility of this cross tab depending upon whether he checks it or unchecks it. In button, what I was doing was I was just making it visible or hidden. But here I will go a little further and try to different combination, whatever he do. If he checks it, I will make it visible. If he unchecks it, I will make it visible. So I will use a if loop also here. So my point was actually to give you a little bit demo of if loop. How do we use that one? So what I will do is I will see whether the user has checked it or not checked it. So if he has checked it, I will make this cross tab visible. If he makes unchecked, I will make it hidden. Okay. So I will see if now in condition part, I need to check the checkbox. So checkbox one dot is checked. Okay, so if this is checked, so it will it will return? It will return either true or false. So if it is checked, then it means I need to set the cross tab visibility as true. Okay. Else what I will do is I will set cross tab one dot actually here I need to do false. If it is true, then in that case I need to set the visibility. I see if it is true or false. So if user has checked, then means it will equal to true. Then I will else whatever is there. Okay, so let's see. Let's make it selected. So if I uncheck it, my cross tab should be hidden. Okay. Now again, if I check it, it should come back. Okay. If I uncheck it, check it, comes. So a little bit of usage of if condition. How do that one? There are many complex scenario also of that if condition, but I just wanted simple. Okay. This is how you use if condition. Then we have this checkbox group. That is also something very much something you are familiar in your real life. You want to, let's say, in real time you are selecting some stuff and you want to select only few of the brands. Let's say you have 10 brands available, but you are interested only 3 or 4 brands. So what you do is you check only those 3 or 4. Then what happens is you get the data only for those selected brands. Rest all are removed from your display or your selection. So the same thing is done here. Whatever you select, that will be shown, rest all will be filtered. Okay. So what are the list of values which you will display here, and how do we get it? One way is you can directly hard code their values. Value 1, value 2, value 3, you can keep inserting and change the text whatever you want. Okay. Another way is, let's say you want to map it to the dimensions which is coming from the backend side. In that case, you can map it to a data source. How you map it? You just do it plus. Then it will become a plus sign here. Okay. So then you will say source data. Again, then it will ask what type of data source. I mean, what is the data source? Let's say I want to filter data source 1. Then what is the dimension? Okay. Let's say I want to filter for product name. Okay. Then what you need to display? Generally by default it comes as text and key, but generally we keep it as okay. Then what is this all member text? What actually this does? This all member text is used to have a value where when this is selected, it means that, or the tool interprets that all of them. Okay. Let's say you have 20 values being displayed here. You have 20 products. If user selects, let's say 3 products. Okay. So, but now he wants to select all of them. Do. He has to go and select each of them one by one. So to avoid that one, we have a feature, or Design Studio has given a feature that once you select all, it considers that you have selected everything. You don't need to go and select each of them by one. Okay, so that is about radio button group. So checkbox group, but this is only half done. You have just mapped the source. Source is used only to display the value. There is nothing to be filtered. If you select right now and you hope that something will get filtered, it will not filter. It's not something like dimension where whenever you select anything, the source data get filtered by default. So that is not something with here. Here what you need to do is you need to put that thing in the target. Here the source is only used to bind the list of values. That's it, nothing else. When you want to something get filtered really, you need to use it in target. Okay. Just a minute. Okay. So source is only used to map the list of values, nothing else. No filtering is done. Filtering comes my target data source. I want to filter DS1, DS2, maybe I want whatever. And that's my choice. And then the dimension. Let's say product name. So since here I am using the same data source, so obviously the name are same, but that name can be different. In one of the data source, the name might be, the name of the product might be something like brand or something. So that one. Now you have done the source and target both. Now let's try to see if it filters. Okay. I selected codes, so only codes are available. Jackets, I want, I remove jacket, I want trousers. It is showing. I want to select all. I don't need to go and select each of them. I can just simply select all. It will remove all of them and just make all. And it's kind of virtually removing all the selections in a very layman term, if I say. So that's how your checkbox group works. Okay. Now with the checkbox group, you have 3 more things which are similar to checkbox. Okay. You have actually 4 data types or 4, let me just bring all of them, 4 more filters which are similar to that one. Drop down, list box, okay, and radio button group. Let me try to expand it a little bit. Okay, anyway, not okay. So this is your 4 data object type which are used to filter the data: checkbox group, list box, radio button, drop down. These all 4 works in the same manner. The way I told you, the way they need to map the source and target, that is same for all of them. The way they will work, that is different. How it is different? Checkbox group and list box groups are multi-selection. You can select more than one. But drop down and radio button, they are single selection. That is the difference between these 2 things. So these 4 are having the same functionality with a little bit of limitation. Like this is, these 2 are multi-select, these 2 are single select. Generally these 4 are used interchangeably depending upon your usage and requirement and what you feel is good. But the basic criteria is single selection, multiple selection. Now within the 2, what you need to choose, that's up to your choice. You can use anything. Okay. So generally that are very important components about that one. Now another important component is this grid layout, the container components. Okay. So not much technicality about that one. Grid layout, when you want to use your screen, you want to split into different cells. But grid layout, page layout, they are not used very much. Mostly what we use is this tab strip. Okay, this is something which you will use very frequently. Okay, let's try to bring all your component into tab 1. Okay. So tab is pretty much straightforward component. It's just a container component. And usage will be when you have multiple components and you don't want, let's say you have 5 graphs, couple of cross tabs, multiple filters. So you don't want all of them on a single page because user will get confused as to where to get the information. Or maybe functionality wise you have different sections, like you would have financial details on one tab, maybe you might have something like HR details on one page, like that one, or some page, or maybe regional detail in one tab, like that one. You want to segregate your information. So in that case, tab comes to the picture. Okay. Then you have another important one is this panel. Okay. Panel is also similar to tab, is a container component, but it is used when you want to group few of the component within the tab. Okay. Let's say you have left of your screen where you want to have some filters. So what you will do is you will put all of them here. Let's say you will put your button inside this one, you will put checkbox inside that one. Okay. So if you want to, within the screen, you want to have different sections. So in that case, we'll use a panel. Okay. So like one panel for your selections, you can have one panel for your chart, one panel for the. So what will the advantage of putting in panel? Even if I don't put in the panel, they will also be, I can just put on the left hand side. So what is the advantage of bringing in the panel? Like in the tab, advantage is like you can have different pages and your user will have segregated information whichever he wants. That is something visible, you can see. But what's the point in bringing panel? Because panel is not visible generally. So even though I have put my button and checkbox in the panel, but when I execute my application, I don't see panel. I will just see the plain components only. Okay, I cannot see whether the button and checkbox are in the panel or just on the tab. So what's the advantage? The biggest advantage of panel is that you can directly give a background color or thing. If you want to give a background color to a cross tab, you cannot give. If you want to give a CSS, you can give it, because only two components this CSS style, a panel and a text box. So if you go everywhere, you will have only CSS class, whether it is this one CSS class, whether it is brought down, everything will have CSS class. Panel is a unique component which has a CSS style. So you can just directly go and give a background color. I think blue, that should work. And this CSS code is a generic CSS code. It's not something specific to. So just I will give and I will get a. So now it will become a useful. I will create three panel. One on the left hand side, I will give a color of light blue. To the filters, top half, I will divide in, put it on another panel, give them different color. So the same screen, if I want to divide or give a little bit of color contrast or color feel, look and feel, I will use panel, because panel has the ability to get a background color. No other container component has that flexibility. So panel doesn't add much value other than look and feel. So that's why we use, you will see for our enhancing look and feel purpose, we will very frequently use panel. So panel and tab strip, these two are something which you will use very frequently, container component. Okay. So generally that is in a nutshell about the Design Studio. I tried to cover some important things, whatever is there. But still, anything you feel that okay, any doubt, whatever I covered, or any question if you want, you can ask right now. You're most welcome.
Xavier, can we use two data source and plot one map? Say like I am created DS1 as universe, like SQL or something, and DS2 from Oracle. Say my company is having data from January to for March in data source 1, and the next like quarter it is in the data source 2. So I want to merge two and plot as a single map.
No. Every component has a way. That is something called one-to-one mapping. Every component can be mapped to a single data source only. You cannot map any component to a multiple data source, except for the filters. In that one, and that too on a target data source. The target data source, as I showed you, that you can map to multiple. But in general, when you see the binding, whether it is this dimension filter or checkbox group, the binding can be only to a single data source. Data source can be a single. You cannot have multiple. So that what you told the scenario, that needs to be taken care either at your universe side or
ETL only.
yeah, maybe at the ETL side, something like that. Okay. I don't feel that, yeah.
So once you build the report, I want to put this report in the portal, like SAP portal.
Yeah.
Let's say, how do you do that?
One way is you can directly build the application on BI platform. Once you log in, you can directly, like if you see, you have a preferences, like what is your startup mode? I want to start up in BI platform. So once you start that one, once you restart the application, if I will just show you, restart the application, it will ask me the BI credentials. If I enter it, it will take me to the view server. Okay, and then it will be automatically what I will create it, I will store it in that one. So it will be stored on BI platform. So that is something which we generally prefer. But even if you don't have that thing, you have created application on a desktop, if you want to export it, you have the option to export that one. You can export that application.
When you said that it stores on the BI server, so it will be Launchpad, BO Launchpad, you're saying?
Yeah,
where all the web reports are there.
Yeah, exactly.
You will have.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So generally that is the way we prefer, because when you export it, if you create application on your local application, on your local desktop, sometimes the version difference, a component compatibility, or the dependencies, like if you have created a CSS file or if you have an image component. So that causes some time of problems, because you have the alternative for that one. You can do, I know what are the ways I need to do, but that creates a little bit headache for us. So we don't prefer that one.
Yeah.
So if I now, if I go here, so if my BI platform is working fine, it will release it. Okay. So now if I, let's say, just open an application and I try to save it. If I say save as, then if you see, it will show me the structure exactly the way you will see in BI platforms, my favorites, and then the public folders. Just a minute.
Oh, so that means we can have web reports and then even the dashboard design studio in the same folder also.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, very good. Got it.
Yeah.
Also, does it have like for Webby we have a CUID or something where the technical key?
Yeah.
It has CUID, yeah?
Yeah. Once you save it in our application, it will have that one.
Oh,
so if
so we can use this
one,
to. Okay, got it.
Yeah. I will show you where do we have that one.
Sure, please. Thank you.
Okay. Something happened. Yeah, so every component will have, you can just view it there. So it will have that thing. Okay. So that is more or less about Design Studio.
Yes. One more question. I think.
Yeah.
So this is Design Studio, right? Just if we use create a dashboard, also Excel sheets or something, we can save it on the BobJ Launchpad. Same.
Yeah. Everything. Yeah.
So all of them we can save it there, so that users can log into Launchpad.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Whenever you log on to the tool via BI application, you can use that one.
Analysis for Office or anything.
Yeah. Whatever, everything you can store it on BI application server.
Cool. And also all of them have CUID or something like that?
Yeah, all of them will have the COID.
Got it. Got it. Thank you very much, Shabir. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, so now let me give you a little bit idea of SAP Lumira. It will not be a very exhaustive session like Design Studio. This is a limited tool, not that complicated. It's pretty much a straightforward tool, mainly for purpose. They are trying to club this tool with Design Studio to make it a little bit more powerful right now, but it's in their roadmap. But when they will do it, that's not very much clear right now.
Shabir?
Yeah.
I have one more question. See, Tableau is there, right? Tableau.
Yeah.
So which one you can compare to Tableau from SAP space, and is Tableau better than our SAP?
The thing is, I have not used Tableau in my projects, actually, in my real-time work, because I am into SAP domain only, so I am not allowed to use any other tool. For my learning purpose, I use pretty much Tableau. So I find it's very, I will say, easy tool to learn, Tableau, and it is not that much powerful. It is similar to SAP Lumira, I will say. Where you will have some you will have standard calculations and then presentations and publish it to the cloud and just got the different views of your data. So for that purpose, it works pretty much better.
Nice. Thank you.
But very extensively, I have not used this Tableau. What happened?
How long will this take?
Just another 15 minutes, not more than that.
Okay.
Shabir?
Yeah.
You're saying that Lumira will get clubbed into Design Studio. So that means in the future only one tool?
Yeah, they are planning to like that one where you will, how they will be clubbing it, it's not very much right now clear what they will, but they said that they will be trying to club it so that all the calculation part and all these things, they will be taken care. So like that one.
Sure. Thank you.
I think there is some issue.
For Lumira and the Design Studio, is it a single license?
Yeah. Generally for Lumira, you can have a 30-day trial version kind of thing. But for Design Studio, you need a SAP, that marketplace ID to download it. So this is the interface of SAP Lumira. Let's say I want to create a file. Okay. So it will give you the list of options available to connect. So generally it has more options compared to Design Studio. You can connect to Microsoft Excel, text, SAP HANA, download SAP HANA, Business Warehouse. This is your BW system, simple SQL query, or you can connect to a Hadoop or a universe, like that one, whatever you want. Let's say I want to connect to a universe. I can connect. Okay, so let me try to connect. So depending upon the which you select, it will say I selected universe, so it is asking universe collection credential. If it got connected, then it will list me all the available universes. Let's say I want to use eFashion, and it will list me all the objects available. And then I need to choose which one. Okay, so these are all the objects available. Let's say I want year. I want state, city, and let's take few minutes. Sales revenue, quantity sold. Okay.
And Shabir,
Yeah.
this is more a user-driven, business user-driven tool than IT-driven tool like with Design Studio. We can say that.
Yeah.
Huh? Design Studio more powerful.
This is more
right?
of a Design Studio is more powerful, and it's like more when you want to have a very interactive report and give user to control all these things. In that scenario, that is powerful. But if you don't, it's like there is, if you have a very complex, you want to have a very complex tool only when you want to have a complex report. If I want to have just a report with 2 dimensions, 1 key figure, there is no point. I don't want interaction. I just want a simple filter. I can use it anywhere.
Yes, Lumira serves that purpose. Easy things.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not able to load. Let me select something else. Try to connect to HANA in sales. Okay, so okay, so this is all your measures, dimensions it will show. In the prepare step, generally when you connect to a data source and you select objects, you move to visualize. But if you go to the prepare, this is a step where you can view all your data source, what are all the list of values available for that dimensions. And other options which are available is if you want to do some calculation. What will be the calculation if I want to create a new measure? Okay, let's say I want to do some sales amount is there and I want to calculate 2 figures are, let's say I have my cost and I have my revenue and I want to calculate net profit as cost minus revenue. So something like that if I want to do, I can do the new calculated measure. I will say, let's say I want sales amount divided by 2. So I want to say it as half. So just a basic I'm giving you. You can calculation can be any type. Just to show you. Okay. So I have now 2 measures. Okay. I go to visualize. In visualize, what you do is you select what you want to display. I want to display on the x-axis, let's say sales amount. Okay, half of my sales. With respect to which dimension I want to display. Let's say I want to display with respect to region name. So Americas, Asia, Europe. So here what I do is I will create any number of different charts, tables, whatever available. I want to, let's say, add one more component. Just a minute. Just a minute. I don't know why today it's not. Let me reload any existing so that it does not create any issue. Anyway, we saw how to connect to data source and bring it. So if that loads correctly, let me see. Okay. So what we do here is we bring the charts, components, what we want to do. So whatever I want a tabular form of data, I will bring that one. I want a pie chart, whatever I will keep on adding that thing. So whatever I want, I will say a plus. Now here, whatever I want, let's say I want just a simple total point chart. So what is the measure? I want the measure as quantity sold. So it will give me quantity sold. Okay, I want to change it to, let's say I want to delete it. So which measure? Let's say I want a total sales revenue. It will give me 36 million is my total sales revenue. So like that one, I can create different sort of permutation, combination of charts, graph, whatever I want. So technically what we do here is, if I try to correlate with Design Studio, is whatever charts or tables or information I might require, I create here. So the thing is, in Design Studio, first we create a canvas and then bring the components and then attach to a data source. But here the thing is, we create the components. Here it's a little bit reverse. We will create a universe, the components, and then I will connect these components or put these components on a layout. Okay, so I will create that n number of components, whatever I want. Then in the compose step, what I do is, we will bring, we will have different page. Okay, so I will have different sort of stories. Like this is my story one, where what I will do is, whatever charts or whatever thing I have developed, I can use that now on my different pages. So what I do is, let's say my requirement is to display 2 charts on my page 1. Then I want to display some other information on my page 2, like this cross tag. Let's say I want to add one more page, and here I just want to have my total sales revenue. Whatever in numerical is there, I will create and it will come, and I can preview it. It will say page 3, page 2, and page 1. Okay. Oh, some issue is coming, it's not responding. Okay. Anyway, whatever needs to be taken care, I told you it does not have any complexity. So maybe I will not close it, just I will give a brief idea. So once you have composed it, you can just go file and publish. So I will not be able to click it here because it's having some issue. But the way we do it in any other tool. Either you can save it, or you can publish it, or you can export it. That all options will be similar. That is not something very unique or it will be here. That will be same. Okay. So that is how you do it generally for the Lumira tools.
Shabir,
Yeah.
does it have different filters tabs and these kinds of tabs that Design Studio has?
You have filters here.
Radio
Let me just
button
try to.
filters, all that kind of
No, not radio
objects.
button and drop down kind of things. Only filters you are having. You will be
Oh,
having.
so more
That's why
limited than Design
yeah,
Studio.
it's very limited. It's just mainly for, it's assumed that whatever calculation and filterings you are required, that is already done. You just want to view the data. So that's why they are
Right.
bringing to club it with Design Studio, so that whatever all complex calculation and filtering you want, you do it at Design Studio interface, and you want to display it, use it this one, because here you have a kind of a PPT. So what I feel, maybe not something to make it useless, but I feel that Lumira is more for your presentation purpose, where you will have PPTs. Every page you bring a chart or cross tab or some facts or figure like that one, in which it's not that it will be a very static data. You have that filter options here. If it loads, I will tell you. When you do the compose, in that compose page, you have an option to add filters. That's it. So it's not something very complicated. If you put effort of 10% of what you need in Design Studio, you will get to learn everything about Lumira. You don't have that much, too many things to learn. How you compose, how you bring the data, how you connect it, that's it. These are the only few options available. I don't think it will be opening. So we try to close it. Okay. So that is mostly all about SAP Lumira. Not much to cover here. Okay. Anyways, if you have any questions, maybe right now, since the questions generally come when you do the practice. So if you feel any question is there or anything you want that, okay, this, because I definitely I did not cover everything. Maybe did you, when you try to develop an application, you feel anything like, okay, how does that work? You can just send the question to Venkat or Madhukar. I will just, maybe if
Unmuted.
I will give you an half-hour session, or at least I will try to send reply with a mail or something to get you an idea. Okay.
Shabir, one more last question.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, is there any way to easily identify the whether which has been done in Lumira or in Design Studio? What is the extension it is coming?
You mean to say how to choose between these two things?
No, once you save the file, no, it will be some extension to identify that one. Whether this
Yeah.
file is
Yeah, generally Design Studio, when you will save, it will say analysis application file. It will say analysis application. And Lumira file, I think it says some, I'm not sure about Lumira, cannot recollect exactly, but something when you store in the BI platform, it will generally, there is something called file name and file type. So it will say Lumira, SAP Lumira file. For Design Studio, I'm sure it says analysis work analysis, workspace on an analysis, something like that one. Some analysis is there. But for Lumira, I think it says Lumira or something like that one. I just need to maybe just have a look and then let you know. Maybe I will try to see if it is available here.
Hello.
Hmm. These are web intelligence. Put somewhere, like you see, this is a analysis application. So this is a design studio. Let me check for Lumira what we do. The tool is getting, but something is different extension is there for Lumira. I just need to check, but for design studio it says analysis application.
Shabir?
Yeah.
Create a design studio report or something. Do we need to log in through the client tool only, or we can log in here in Launchpad and create like Webby directly through browser?
I think if you have that application on your BI Launchpad, if you see in BI Launchpad you have an icon for Webby analysis for O Crystal report. So like that one, if you have an icon for Design Studio, then you can use that one also.
Okay, otherwise when
But
you
if
do
you
it
don't,
workplace, no, in your workplace you always log into the client tool, huh?
yeah, generally we use the VPN and connect to their own system where they have already installed a Design Studio.
Very nice.
And then,
that's what.
yeah. So even your local application, when you, but generally, if you are connected, let's say through VPN, then your standalone client tool, what you have installed, just when you open it in a BI platform mode, so it will ask the BI enterprise credential. Just log into that one. It will automatically use all the data, source everything from there only.
Got it. Thank you. One final question. So
yeah.
I think Webby in SAP space reporting side, Webby is the most important popular tool, first one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the second and third in your preference? I mean, just want to know so that I'll pick them up first.
Okay. Webby is generally an end user tool, so you don't generally, it does not require to preview it or generate a flash or use a web browser to, and it is like whatever data you create on the at the run, that is what you view. So n number of rows, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, whatever huge amount of data is there, Webby deals them the easiest way. If you have a huge set of data and you want to bring something out of that, then Webby is the best choice because it does not need something to preview it, like dashboard generates a flash, Design Studio use a web browser applications, internal flash to generate that one. This is not something with Webby. It is a whatever you develop at that moment, that is your view. You use that one only. You don't preview or something is not there in Webby. So for that purpose, Webby is best. Then I generally choose the Design Studio because generally it has too much flexibility and you have n number of ways to show the data, and the best thing is you can give user the interactivity at any moment. You can, it's not that only filter will he will interact with filter. He can click on charts, he can click on text, he can click on tables, he can click on just simple logos, and he can do anything at any moment of time. So in short, if I say Design Studio allows you to pause your application at any moment of time. You don't need to filter the data at filter only. You can just click on a single text and pause your application, do filtering, set the visibility, make some component into the background and anything, and then resume it. So that much of complexity, that much of things you want, that user, you can go for Design Studio. Then you have that Lumira is also right now there, I will say on third, I will say, with limited functionality, and you expect that your backend system gives you the calculated columns or calculated different views which you can to bring it upon. So depending upon your usage, generally it will be useful to you. It's not that I will say in every scenario Design Studio is best or Webby is best. It depends to a great extent requirement. Based upon your requirement, that's why they have different tools. They would have just a simple one tool. They are having a different set. As per your requirement, you use it. So depending upon that one, you can use that one.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Shabir, one last question and quick one. The report we have created. Sorry, thank you. The report which we have created just now in the Design Studio. How will the end user have the access of that? Basically.
Once you create it in the BI application, BI Launchpad, BI server, whosoever have the access to that environment, he can access that report. You will go to save it in your public folder, whichever folder where you save, like wherever any other tool you save application, the same way. So you have some development environment, you connect it to that, save it to their folder, some folder named XYZ. So whosoever will have access to that folder.
Okay, how do we deploy it to the server so that they can check it?
Save it, just simply, you don't need anything. You just, the way you save your web intelligence file, how you save it, save as, then you select the environment, whatever you are connected, you select, like if you want to save it privately, you will say my favorite. If you want to save it everybody, you will go to public folder. Within that public folder, you will select some XYZ folder. In that one, you just save it, and then it is available for everybody.
Okay.
Means
okay.
everybody means whosoever have access to that folder. Okay. Okay, then thanks everybody. I hope it will be a little bit useful for you guys and make you helpful.
Thank you, Shabir. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Thank you very much, Shabir. Thanks a lot.
No problem.
Thank you.
Welcome everybody.